How would you improve the gym experience? Hey everyone, welcome back to another Exponent product management mock interview. We're going to be doing a product sense question today with Tanya. And before we jump into that, Tanya, do you want to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, I'm Tanya. I'm currently a product manager at Meta. I'm based in New York City. I've been with the company for 5 years. I started off as a data engineer and made the switch internally. I currently am working on building new experiences for stories.
Nice. Thanks for coming on today's show. So, I think I have a pretty interesting question for you today. It's not like the typical, improve this tech product question. The question I have for you today is, how would you improve the gym experience?
Awesome. Okay. I'll just start off with some clarifying questions. Is there any like user cohort or type of gym that you're interested in, or you're just going to leave that up to me?
Yeah, I'll leave it up to you and feel free to let me know like why you picked that specific cohort.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'm assuming like free runway here. So I'll go ahead and get started then. So the gym experience. So the first thing I want to do is really try to understand before we talk about improvements, what is the mission of a gym? Like why do we have gyms in our community? What value do they add to our users or their users and people in general? And when I think about gyms across the board, they provide really safe, comfortable environments where people can reach their fitness goals. And when a gym can successfully do that, then they will reap the benefits of user growth, retention, and ultimately profits. So I think it's really important that we really start off high level thinking about how do we actually focus on helping people reach their fitness goals because everything comes after that. So does that sound as a good mission statement?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome, cool. So now let's try to narrow in on the actual users we're building for. And we can look at so many different types of users that go to the gym or people that I'm saying users, but really people that are going to the gym. But I really want to focus on people who really struggle to reach their fitness goals. There's not as much impact or opportunity if we're looking at people who are already super healthy, super fit, they have great gym routines. I think we'll find some really unique and interesting problems particularly focusing for people who struggle with fitness. And so some axes to start off with, or ways we can segment different types of gym goers. One is around life stage. So I have like three buckets of ages to look at. So we can start with children who are like under 18. Children get most of their fitness from school, like PE activities. They're probably too young to go to like an actual gym. So we can probably deprioritize them. Young adults, this because we can say this is like 18 to 30, which is pretty broad, but I think this is an interesting group because people are independent. They're trying to explore fitness routines. They haven't often established anything. They like the social aspects of it. So there could be interesting ways to improve the experience there. And finally, there's adults, which are 30 plus, and they also have interest in exploring new routines and whatnot. But a lot of adults also kind of have families. They usually have very structured timelines. And so many of them also have kind of a structured routine. So if I had to prioritize between those three groups, I would say young adults is probably the most interesting. So I'll just keep tabs on that. Another area that we can look into segmentation is around gender. Um, I think gender is really interesting because social media and just media in general has often typecasted different fitness routines based on gender. Like men tend to be associated with like strength and weightlifting, and women tend to be more shown to do like yoga, Pilates, like cardio kind of things, and dance. And there's a lot we can do there to educate people on what's the right fitness routine for you that's more personalized. And I think, particularly from women and people who identify as female, this is interesting because you often see saying things like, I don't want to lift because I don't want to be too bulky. I think we're doing a lot of work to break the barriers there, but that is an interesting area, I think, to explore. Another axis to potentially look at is around profession. So in today's day and age, a lot of us are on our computers all the time. We can consider ourselves like desk workers, and we have ergonomic issues that might warrant some new ways to improve our fitness routine, which could be also interesting to explore compared to people who work in maybe like education or um, retail, where they're like walking around and standing more. So that could also be an interesting way to cut the users by. And so thinking through those segments, I think that I would want to focus on young adult women. Um, and the reason for that is, one, I think there's a lot we can explore because young adults are very interested in exploring new fitness routines. They haven't really established anything generally yet. And I think women are also really interesting because I think that there's a lot more education and personalization that we can do when it comes to like strength and weightlifting, and just exposing them to more routines than what the media kind of portrays is right for them. And when it comes to the profession segmentation, um, I think that whether you are like a desk worker or someone who actually has like fitness incorporated into your work, I think most people are interested in improving their fitness. So it might not be as strong of a user cohort. So I want to go with young adult woman. Does that all sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. Curious like how you would design specifically for this cohort.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I think this brings us to like the user journey, like of what does the young adult woman do to reach their fitness goals, right? So um, there are two aspects I think here. One is getting started. So that's all around of like knowing what are the exercises you need to do, what is the actual routine. Second is getting to the gym. Like, do you have access to a physical gym near you? Do you have the right equipment? And then I think third, what's really interesting is also intimidation within gyms. Like we often see people, especially women in gyms, seeing equipment and not wanting to try it out, or there's like a lot of guys around. It feels very uncomfortable. So that safe environment is also a barrier for a young woman. And then a totally other aspect of reaching your fitness goals is actually continuing with the routine to achieve success. So this is going as often as you need to, being reminded of your goals, validation that you're making progress. So that's a whole other arena. Between those two sets of barriers, I think the first one is actually more interesting. And the reason for that is there's a lot of stuff on the market right now, regardless of whether you're a young woman or young man or whatever. I think there's a lot there to maintain your routine and track your progress. There's like Apple Watch, there's Strava, there's like Orange Theory, which is a whole gym set around tracking your progress in there. So I feel like there's less interesting innovation there. Whereas I think getting started in that whole education piece and feeling intimidated in the gym could be more interesting for young women. So that's kind of the problem that I'd want to focus on.
Got it. So we want to help kind of young women like get started in their fitness journeys.
Yes, yeah.
Cool, cool. Sounds good.
Cool. So let me just take a second to think through some solutions and how to like design how to solve that problem, if that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. So I have a couple of solutions in mind. I'm going to start off with the most like basic MVP solution here. Um, so I kind of touched upon going to the gym and feeling intimidated by equipment and not knowing how to use the equipment. I think it would be cool to have like maybe QR codes on some of the machines. And so you could use your phone, scan the QR code, and then see stories of women like using the machine. So I think that's way better than some of the diagrams that you see on the machine today. So it gives a more understanding that like, hey, there's like a ton of women who've used this machine. This is how you use it, the different ways to use it. And it could also have information about what these exercises improve, how often you should be doing them. So that could be something that's very in person and lightweight. Um,
So you like you describe these as stories. So if I scan the code, is it going to show like a blog story or a video story or like an Instagram story or something like that?
I think a video story. So this could be attached to an app that's associated with the equipment. I think a lot of gyms have the same brand of equipment. So I would assume that there's like an equipment app that has like stories and that when you scan the code, it would take you to that.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So that would scale, I think, to a lot of gyms. So it doesn't have to be a particular one gym. The second thing is to create all female gyms. And this is a trend that's becoming more popular on TikTok. I've been seeing this a lot of like just all women gyms to just really create that comfortable environment where you can probably feel okay asking other people for help with using equipment, understanding what are the exercises that others in the gym are doing. So that could be interesting. Um, Instead of just doing all female gyms, you could also make it all female hours. So that way that would be more flexible for like a 24-hour fitness or something. Um, so that's one idea. Another idea I think is probably more of like a moonshot, I guess, is like virtual trainers for young women through AR. So imagine like smart glasses and your AirPods, and you can actually have a coach who walks you through how to like go through the gym without actually being there. I think that's interesting because in practice, I think relationships with trainers are probably the most ideal for reaching your fitness goals because they're professionals, they're educated, and there's a sense of accountability. Um, so I think that would be really cool. And it would be also synced to an app. So you would also be able to monitor your goals as well. And it's the most personalized experience. So I think that one is really interesting. Um,
Got it. I think these are all pretty interesting. For the second solution, how do you think you would go about enforcing like maybe like all female hours? Like what if someone is like in the middle of their workout who's not a female?
yeah, I think that is a risk. I think that would be very similar to, I guess, like gym close time, where we'd have to do like a, 10 minutes left, you'd have to leave, and then it would just be all female hours. Um, yeah.
I see, I see. Cool. So I think these are like pretty interesting solutions. How would you go about picking the one that you think you want to invest in?
Right. So I think let's see, to prioritize these solutions, let's think about our goal, which is helping people reach their fitness goals. And so let's prioritize on impact, but then there's also cost, which can mean eng cost and technology cost. So keeping impact in mind, I think that the most impactful is the last one, the virtual trainers, and probably the least impactful. Um, I think might be the QR coded equipment. I think that it's not as personalized, people would have to use it. Whereas like the all female gyms, like the environment itself might actually add more impact there. So I would say the last one is the most impactful. But when it comes to cost, in terms of building the technology and building it out, I think it's the reverse. Like the QR code is definitely the least cost heavy. All female gyms is next, and then the whole idea of virtual trainers for young women is probably going to be higher cost. So I would like to prioritize on impact though, and so I would probably go with the virtual trainers for young women. I think that it would scale across several gyms too, which is really nice. I think that's the problem with the second one, is that it's like a physical gym. You have to enforcing the all female hours, like you mentioned, that weren't some problems. And like I think it's also probably it probably just also is not as I don't know. I think I think it's also nice for women and like men and all genders to kind of like coexist together if possible. And like in a gym environment, I think that would be ideal. So I think business wise, it would make sense, I think, to go for the virtual trainers.
Got it. Yeah, I was thinking for the all female hours, you could probably pick like the hours that are least busy, so that's like minimal impact for non-females, and
Yeah.
that might be helpful for that. Okay, so now let's say you have like a 2-year timeline, like horizon to build this out. Um, And then, you've worked on the AR solution, you've built it out. How would you describe the end-to-end solution and how a user might use this to achieve their fitness goals?
Right, awesome. So I think that the first MVP without even AR is just the idea of having a trainer. So there are a lot of apps right now for like therapy, for instance, where you're connected to a licensed therapist and that's all handled virtually. So I think we could start there for trainers. And there are probably some apps that exist right now where you can connect to a trainer and they can give you like a fitness routine. They're messaging you to check in. You have a goal in mind. The app experience would have your goal. Like you can check in when you've been going to the gym and sharing videos of you doing certain exercises and whatnot. I think the AR and kind of like real time experience of training, like in a gym, we would maybe just start with audio and also maybe being able to have a wearable device so at least the trainer can see what you're doing. You may not be able to see the trainer's AR, but the trainer is able to see your form and kind of comment on your form and guide you throughout the gym. So just giving the trainer the ability to see where you're going and what you're doing. And then I think the next iteration is the whole AR experience where you yourself are wearing the smart glasses and you can see your trainer in the gym and kind of showing you the equipment and has all the features from the MVP.
Cool. So let's say that you've rolled this out. How would you make sure that you're successful?
Yeah, so I think with this particular feature, this is really interesting because we could run a test where we, or like a study, maybe like a user study where we have people who go to the gym without this experience. And then people who go to the gym with this experience, we ask them to write their fitness goals, give them a timeline and see who is able to reach their fitness goals. And hopefully we see a positive, statistically significant increase on the side of people using this product.
Makes sense. Yeah, you want to like compare this to like a control group and see that there's actually like a lift in fitness usage or like fitness health for the treatment group. Makes sense. I think we can pause here. I think this was pretty good for our product sense interview. And for the rest of our time, I'm kind of curious if you wanted to share any tips or pieces of advice for the audience who might be going through their own like product sense interviews.
Yeah, definitely. I think with product sense, the main thing I would want to focus on is the problem, really trying to solve a problem for people and less on the solution. And that's why I think upfronting your investment on the mission, the target audience, and problem identification part of the interview is really, really important. And then I think the solutions will come naturally.
Yeah. One thing I really liked what you did was when you were going through pain points, you called out the different emotions that the users would feel, right? Like they feel intimidation or they might feel like choice paralysis. And I feel like these are the things that, as a PM, right, you're like doing a really good job of empathizing with the users. So kudos to you for like showing that in your pain points. Again, thanks for coming on today's show. And for the viewers watching at home, good luck with your upcoming product management interview.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below to let us know that this video is valuable for you. And of course, check out hundreds more videos just like this at tryexponent.com. Thanks for watching and good luck on your upcoming interview.